We're 101, doesn't matter which wire. All right, today we're here to do a workshop on how to set up a timer, the parts to go and to set up for a top rated valve. So here's a different components you need for this particular timer. I'm gonna open up here so you can see the inside and where we connect the wiring. So this particular timer, we don't even need a screwdriver because we'll be pushing in the wire. These different parts here. So we have the timer, we have the valve that we're going to connect to. Here's the wire, and these are the wire nuts and your wire cutter. Okay, so let's get started here. One thing that you got to remember is when you're wiring this up, make sure that you have this little hole area right here where you put in your cable. A lot of times, I mean, even I've done it where I put it in this way and then you forget, oh shoot, you're supposed to put it in here because you can't close the door if you do that. So just always want to make sure that you're putting the wire through here when you're making the connection. Okay, so this particular wire it's called a 5-strand wire. It's an 18 gauge 5-strand wire. So what you do, so basically, this insulation inside here, you have 5 different wires. And when I'm cutting this wire, I'm gonna cut it about right here, so that way when I put it in, let me just cut it for you. And when you're cutting this wire, you want to make sure you're not doing it real hard. You want to you just want to dig into the insulation, because you don't want to cut your wires inside. So you just kind of just graze it like this, and do this, and that will break the wire. The cable, excuse me. When you pull it out like that. Okay, you can take this off right here. All right. So, you have the different colored wires here. What we're gonna do is take off this rubber part here. And we're just going to use these two wires for right now because we only have one valve. All right, I'm going to snip a little bit of this off right here. Okay, and what I can do with this rest is just do it like this so it doesn't get in the way. And like I said, we're going to go through here. And what we always want to do is put the white wire is called a common, and it has, you can see how we have a common area right here. Okay, so we put your common wire, and the thing about this is that I don't know if you can see that, but right here there's like a little hole in there on underneath. And in this particular timer, like I said, you don't need a screwdriver. Basically, this one you just push in underneath and it locks in here. See how it locked in? And you want to release that, just pull this up like that and it'll come right out. Okay, so just push that in there. And you can see this little thing go up and it's engaged. Okay. And then this wire, since we're only doing the one valve, put it on number 1 right here, as you can see that. Number 1, okay. Same thing here. So there's a little hole right underneath it. There's a little hole there. And just push it up, and there it is, it's engaged. Okay. Okay, so then we're gonna go on this side. Okay. See, now I can close this part, right? Let me go back a little bit. One thing you want to remember is that whenever you're putting in your wires, just make sure that your timer's off, so you don't have where it's not connected. So you want to do all your connections before you put your timer on. Okay. The good thing about the timers is they're low voltage, so it wouldn't be a big problem if it's on and you're touching the wires. The only thing is for you, as far as getting shocked, but the thing is that if the timer's on and you put the wires, somehow they get together, it could damage the timer. So anyway, always safest thing to do is keep the timer off until you get all your connections right. Okay, so same thing we're going to do on this side. Okay. Okay, before I go any further, I do want to mention this is a weatherproof outdoor timer. You can use it for the inside if you want, but it's made for outdoors. It's put up by Orbit, and it's a 6-station timer. All right, so I'm going to do the same thing on this. Okay, so what we're using is the white wire and the green wire, okay? And we're using the white wire and the green wire here. I'm gonna wrap this like we did the other side. Okay. Okay, so in this case, okay, so right here when we're connecting the wires to the valve, okay, here's your valve, right? Now this particular part of the valve is, move it right here. This particular part of the valve is called the solenoid. And what the solenoid does is opens up the valve when you set the electrical current from the timer to the valve. And that's how it starts, that's how it'll work. Now, when you're putting these wires together, it doesn't matter which one you put to which wire, okay? So if it's either this, that, as long as you're putting one on one. So it doesn't matter which one it is, as long as they're one on one, okay? So I'll do this. Okay, and do this one, right? Okay, so as long as we're one-on-one, doesn't matter which wire these ones go to, as long as it's like that. Okay, the other thing too is, that's really important, is when you're wiring, is that this particular wire nut is it's a silicone wire nut. Inside it's silicone. When I'm out in the field, a lot of times I find these wire nuts that you're supposed to use inside the wall of a house. They're using that a lot out in the field, and that's just the wrong application, because if that gets water inside that wire nut, it's going to corrode and these won't, stop working. So it's got to be a silicone wire nut when you're putting these together like this. And you notice, I don't know if you can see, but sometimes a little bit of silicone, see it popping out of there? Okay, so that is weatherproofed. Okay. All right. Then we wear this last one here. Okay, so we got it on. You see on the display how it's on there. And I'm gonna go to make sure I got a little time on the first station, which I don't. We'll put some time here. All right. So when I turn it manually, should hear a little click, even when there's, and then it's going to tell us that the valve is opened up. So. See? Okay, that's telling us. So okay, so it's working. Clear. All right, well that's our lesson for today on that part, and we're going to get into a lot of more classroom settings. I know I'm out in the field, and that's mostly what I've been teaching out there in the field, but I know it's really important for me to come in here and show you, the specifics on how things operate. I'm going to definitely get into a lot more on the timer, troubleshooting, programming timers, checking for voltage and all that kind of stuff. But for right now, it's going to be basically what we did was we're simulating putting connecting the timer to the valve, and the cable and its connection to the valve, and what wire nets to use. Okay, so like I said, we're going to get into more of different things we need to do to set up the timer and the troubleshooting. Okay, well that's it for today. Don't forget to subscribe and like the video that you can get notifications.